Welcome to In Stitches with Mary. This month I have a couple of projects to show you. They're kind of big, kind of small, but they're both really simple and easy to put together, and I hope you enjoy them. The first one I want to show you is a t-shirt pillow. I know it's getting to be that time of year and graduation's rolling around. There's a lot of t-shirt quilts under the needle right now. But here's a little idea to use some of those leftover t-shirts or whatever you might have, and I'm going to show you how easy this is to put together. And the other thing I have is called what I call my puzzling hot pad. This is using one quilt block, any style of quilt block, and it makes this hot pad where the front and the back are going to be totally different and there's no side seams. Are you puzzled? Stick around. We're going to show you how these go together. I was recently asked by a local in our community, local youth Christian group, if I could turn some of their old t-shirts into some pillows for them to use in their organizational meetings. And the person who had done this before had moved, and they asked if I could take care of that for them, and I said absolutely, and they kind of gave me some ideas, and I thought this is a great idea. I love this project. So what we're going to do is we're taking the front of the t-shirt, the screen print that's on the front of the t-shirt, and this is going to be a lap back pillow. So I took the whole front of the t-shirt, wrapped the hem around to the back side, and then used the back of the t-shirt and the hem on that t-shirt for the back side of that lap. So we're using both hems, we're interfacing this and putting these together. I want to show you quickly, if you've never done a t-shirt quilt, this is kind of how you start making a t-shirt quilt, but maybe you want to start with just making a pillow. So let's get this started. Now, one of the first things you want to do is to make sure you start with a clean t-shirt, and we're going to lay this out flat, give it a good press. Make sure you're careful over the screen print. Don't run your iron over that. You could melt and spread that, so be careful with that screen print. And we're going to cut up the sides. We're going to cut up the sides, and then we're going to cut the sleeves off, as you can see here. And we're going to cut across the top just under the neckline. Now, I'd recommend you get out your ruler and rotary cutter and kind of run it right across the top of your screen print so that you can kind of get a straight edge up here and it's not cattywampus kind of thing. We're going to square that up at a later point. So if it's not real parallel, that's okay. So we're going to do that. We can dispose of this. And then before we can go any farther, you're going to want to apply some interfacing to the back side of both the front and the back of the shirt. The front of the shirt for this pillow is going to need to be interfaced in its entirety, from top down to the hem. And on the hem, I want you to come to within 1/4 of an inch of that bottom fold. So you're going to cover up that previous stitching. And what you'll want to do is to also secure that. So before we go any farther, with this one, I just did a regular straight stitch along the previous hem. But you can also get out some of your decorative stitches. As you can see here, I did some lettering. I put Neil Sewing Center on the back of that and ran that across right through the center of that hem. And that's going to secure that interfacing in place as well. So we've got that fused on. Step back a little bit. I like to use a woven lightweight to medium weight interfacing. You might have a personal preference, whatever it might be, and you want to interface it wider than the size of your pillow. Now, the size of your pillow is going to probably be determined by the size of your t-shirt. You have a small t-shirt, you're probably looking at about a 14-inch pillow. You got a medium t-shirt, you can go up to a 16-inch. But if you want to do an 18-inch like what this one was, you're going to need that large to extra large t-shirt. Obviously, an extra large t-shirt, you can always go to a smaller size pillow. And you're going to interface the back of that wider than the t-shirt. So we're going to interface it before we cut what we need down to size. So we have both the front and the back interfacing. Always remember when you are ironing that fusible interfacing in place, you want to use a press cloth. And you're going to put that down on top. I'd recommend putting it on top of your interfacing, especially with that screen print there. We don't want to put that iron directly on there, but you do want to have something protecting your t-shirt from the heat of that iron, but you still want the heat to go through and activate that fusing. So a good press cloth is always a great idea for this. All right, so what we need to do now is to cut this down to the width that we need on the front. And I'm going to pull the back out here and show you how that's done. What I'd like to do is to fold this in half, and you're going to find probably, let's turn this around again. You want to try to find what you think will be the center of your screen print. You can get a ruler out and place a little mark there, and then fold it in half lengthwise in this case. And let me get out the cutting board. And you're going to place that on here with the fold. Now I'm going to do a 16-inch pillow, so I want to cut this 16.5 inches. Since I folded it in half, I'm going to use my square ruler, and I'm going to measure over 8.25 inches from that fold, and it's going to be nice and straight. I'm going to back up 1 minute. When you go to fold this in half, make sure your hem down here is even. You don't want it crooked like this. This is where we're going to square up the hem first, so we have it going nice and straight across the back. So we're going to square that up. We're going to bring our fold up, and now we're going to begin cutting that at that 8.25, because that's half of 16.5. And we're going to cut it down and continue our way as we go. So 8.25 inches for that 16-inch pillow. 7.25 if you're doing a 14-inch pillow. If you got an 18-inch pillow, you're going to do 9.25 inches. We're going to repeat that with the back side. Fold this in half as well and do that 8.5 inches. Once we have that done, we need to determine how long this piece will be. So let me show you the method I have for that. Now, once you have your sides and your bottom squared up, you're going to want to make sure you square up your top. You can do that with your large cutting mat if you want to and place it in place, or fold it in half again, making sure your bottom is lined up. Come up here and then cut a nice straight square corner across here. This is going to be a 14.5 inch pillow. And to determine the size of my back of the pillow, that's the overlap, we need to get the front prepared. So we're going to fold the hem up. I've got the top of my shirt on my cutting mat on my 0 line. We're going to fold the front of the shirt up to 14.5 inches. Remember, I'm doing a 14-inch pillow. So in this case, it's 14.5. Before, I was doing a 16.5 inch pillow. So 16-inch pillow, you would fold it up to 16.5 inches. So I'm folding this to 14.5. And now I'm going to determine my overlap. And you can come anywhere between 4 to 5 inches along here. I had some pillows where the front of the t-shirt was really quite long, and my overlap, I couldn't go too far because it was going to come all the way to the bottom. So in this case, I have some extra wiggle room here. And I'm going to place the back of my t-shirt on here. And I can see I'm going to have about a 4-inch overlap. I'm going to cut this off at 11 inches. And then that's what I did. So I have my overlap in the back of my pillow. To put it together, we're going to unfold the front. We want the back of the t-shirt to be on top when we roll the pillow to the back side. We want that to be on top. I've got my Castaway Club stitching going across the hem, and I want that to be visible. So we're going to roll this back up. Back of the pillow, right sides together against the t-shirt, then roll the front of that t-shirt up. Make sure we're nice, square, and straight, and we're going to go ahead and pin this, and then we're ready to take it to the sewing machine. We got 3 sides we're going to stitch here. That would look like this. Once you have that stitched together, you're going to trim your corners, and then you can just turn it inside out. I have this one already turned inside out, and it's ready for the pillow form. So here we have our completed pillow. I wanted to show you the back side, and this was the back of the t-shirt. That's the overlap on the front with the hem rolled up inside. A couple of other things you can do. Remember, I did some decorative stitches on the back using lettering on the sewing machine. This I used was just an heirloom stitch between the two stitching lines on the hem. And the back of the t-shirt had a screen print on it as well, and I thought I really don't want to waste that. So I just appliqued that onto the back of the pillow before, or back of the t-shirt before I put it on the pillow. So that is also an option if you don't want to waste any of that t-shirt and that screen printing. So I think these are just a really neat idea for using up those t-shirts. They'd be a great memory pillow for some loved ones that we might have had. I think these would be fun to throw in the camper. They'd be fun on the road trip in a car, or just decorating a kid's bedroom, and a fun thing to have around. Easily washable and easy to take care of. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're interested in the pattern, please contact us here right at Neil's Vacuum and Sewing Center, and we can get those directions out to you for just $5.